Good day. I mentioned that I wanted to do a couple of Bible basics, and this one is going to be on the basic storyline of the Bible. And we'll start off with what Jesus says about it. So he says in John 5:39, he says, "You search the Scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, but these are they that testify of me." And even that he was referring to, the Old Testament, because they did not have the New Testament at the time that he was saying these things. And so basically it's showing us that the Bible is a long, it's a long book, but it is the story of what Christ is doing to save us, and he is the main character. Many times we think we are the main character, or one of the characters in the other characters of the Bible maybe, but that is just not the case. It's all about him and our relationship with him and what he's doing for us. The Bible starts off in Genesis with the creation story. God creating the light, the atmosphere, dry land, grass, sun, moon, stars, and then all the living creatures. And he crowned it by making men and women, mankind. And it says that he created them in the image of God. He created them. And then in Genesis 3, chapter 3, we have the temptation and fall of the human race when both Adam and Eve sinned against God when they went against his instruction not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then around Revelation 21, we have Jesus comes back and he restores the earth as it was before man sinned and fell short of the glory of God. In the middle of that, we have the big giant mess. So from Genesis 3 onward to the end of Revelation is basically a story of how Jesus gets people from the downward spiral that they've gone to and the mess that they've created, pulling them out of that mess and bringing them into that restored relationship with him, and working on us in such a way that we will despise sin and the nature of sin. So back to Genesis 3 and why they did not die. Because God said, "The day you eat of it, you shall die." And we have a clue. The clue is in Revelation 13:8, where it mentions Jesus as the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. And the foundation of the world must be at the foundation. And where's the foundation? Well, when he created all these things, and Adam and Eve fell. So he had this in mind to do this before they fell. But the moment they did fall, he was then considered slain because of what he was going to do. And so Genesis doesn't directly say that a lamb was slain right then and there, but it does say that God gave them a clothing of skins, implying that there was the death of an animal, foretelling Christ dying on our behalf, which was the lamb slain for humanity. And also in Genesis 3:15, the serpent, which is Satan, is cursed. And it says, "I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel." Basically, that's saying that there would ever be an enmity between Satan and his followers and God and his followers. And this is the climax. The climax is that Satan will bruise the heel of the woman's seed, in which ends up being Christ, which was the offspring for all humanity. But Christ will bruise the serpent's head, and Christ had his victory on the cross in his death, effectively defeating Satan and everything that he was attempting to do. So Genesis 3 once again sets the entire stage of the battle between God and Satan, between God's people and Satan's people. Everything after this point, right up until the end of Revelation, when Jesus brings us home is God, like I said, working through the mess that we've created in order to bring us onto himself and to make us hate sin to the point where it'll never pop up again. And so this is the overlying story. It's a story of what Christ is doing and has done right from the very foundation of the world when humanity fell. And as we put our trust in him, he creates in us a disdain for sin, and it brings us that much closer to him, and he can work with us more and more and more and more. And that is the basic story of the entire Bible from start to finish. So I hope you found that helpful, and we'll see you next time. Have yourself a wonderful day.